that were broadcast from New York, right? And they were usually later at night.
And now on
10, 11,
takeoff
12
roll,
midnight.
the Boeing PT-17 Stearman.
Listenership on the East as they did in the West. And the kids in the West loved Benny Goodman and his orchestra. And Benny was going across the country. I mean, ended up in Colorado. They were there They were just not clicking with.
And to your right is our Aeronca L-16 champion.
Like they had been playing on their radio broadcasts. They finally get to the Palomar Hotel in Los Angeles area. And they're playing the set, and the place is absolutely packed because so many young people had up to the West Coast. But they played all the old stuff that just didn't get into it. And Jim Krupa, who was the drummer, you hear him keeping a beat going to 8.5 minutes in this song.
And now the North American SNJ Texan.
If we're going down, let's play our new stuff and go out in a blaze of glory. They would not let the band stop. They love all of the new swing style music. So in 1936, the fall of 1936, that's where we can kind of see the beginning of the swing era of music.
Who's doing the flying in this that Stearman and in the L6 and in the L-16 champ? That's an enclosed cockpit where the raffle winning ride gets in that. Czar Stearman over there. Here you can see the Texan way in the distance.
So you remember that plane, the bird dog, right? Big date in the air show.
That's an advanced trainer during World War II. And here's our L-16.
And this is the point where he had to turn the record over. Because there were only about 4 minutes that you could get into a record before you turned it over and listen to the second side. As we're watching our aircraft overhead, the yellow airplane is the PT-17, otherwise known as the Stearman, otherwise known as the Cadet. Depends on who you're talking to. But it's one of the most recognizable aircraft of the era due to its widespread use in training thousands of Allied pilots. The Stearman Company, which later became a subsidiary of Boeing, designed about 75 in the early 1930s. It was first flying in 1934. Now, it was initially intended as a civilian training, but as the war started moving in the late 30s, they realized the military needed something to help train pilots, so it became one of the primary trainers of World War II. It was used by the U.S. Army Air Forces, the U.S. Navy, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and of course known as the PT-13 or the PT-17, depending on which engine was in the aircraft, and the N2S in the Navy, because, let's face it, the Air Force and the Navy can never agree. So the training regimen typically included basic flight maneuvers, some mild aerobatics, formation flying, and basic navigation. The instructor would sit in the front seat with the student in the back. And they used what was called the Gosport tube, which basically, if you can imagine a funnel attached to a garden hose, which went into the flying helmet of the student. And basically the instructor would yell instructions through the Gosport tube to the student, and hopefully they could hear what the instructor was saying. As I mentioned, the N2S variant served as the Navy's primary trainer, familiarizing naval aviators with carrier operations, basic flight skills, and airbags. Many of the Stearmans found new life after World War II as they were surplused, as crop dusters, sport planes, and barnstormers continuing their lasting legacy in aviation history, and you can still see.
In the number 12 airplane over here is the T6, number 502, 98, wall action.
Starting the Stearman in the flyby pattern is another North American AT-6. You can see the difference as they approach the show center. Of course, the low and slow Stearman with twin wings, open cockpits. Of course, the AT-6 Texan, enclosed cockpits, roomy interior, retractable landing, controllable prop. It really was very fast aircraft first time. The little gray airplane you see there is the L-16. And that is a variant of the Aranca Champ. The Aranca Champ, like the Piper Cub, was a trainer used mostly for civilian training before World War II. And many of the L-16s, along with Piper J-3s, which became L-4s as they transitioned into the military, played various roles in the war. Not so much as trainers, but as liaison aircraft, sometimes spotting for artillery or infantry, depending on where they were. Of course, one of the very famous Piper L-4s is called Bazooka Charlie. In the European theater, one of the liaison pilots who was doing observation for the infantry and artillery kind of got sick and tired of the Germans taking pot shots at his airplane. So he decided, and maybe with or without permission, or someone looking the other way, he mounted 4 bazookas onto the airplane and went out and actually destroyed several tanks. Became known as Bazooka Charlie. A brand new book that was just published earlier this year. The daughter of Bazooka Charlie sat down and told her story and what she recalled from her dad and all the letters that he wrote home to her mother. Recalled the stories, and the great thing is that Carol was actually, she couldn't sleep one night. She was on the internet doing some searching, and she found a World War II discussion board, and on the discussion board someone was saying, no one ever mounted bazookas onto an L4. It was all propaganda, it was all speculation, it never happened. And she knew it did. So, being the proud daughter that she was, she jumped on the internet and the discussion board and said, oh wait, my dad was the man who did that, and I have the proof. She had newspaper clippings, letters, some of the citations that he had, and also some of the trouble that he got into flying with bazookas. But he inspired several other L4 pilots to go ahead and try the same thing. Just goes to show the ingenuity of the American soldier and airman.
Watch.
Stearman has his mic stuck. That's the wind.
L-16 Airbus clear to land, runway 11. L-16 clear to land, 11. What temperature in? Yes, Stearman, you can proceed down. down the runway and recover up the ramp.
Go ahead and give our pilots a big wave as they taxi back to parking. All of our pilots here at the Military Aviation Museum are volunteering their time and their talents to fly these incredible aircraft. So we appreciate you giving them a wave and a round of applause, as that is their payment. Along with giving them a pretty cool aircraft.
The next plane to fly is the one your father flew. The giant
And our SNJ just touching down there. We're just going to do a little 180 right there on the runway and head on back into parking. Just a few moments from now, the Navy flight is going to take off.
Clap, honey. Clap.
We'll talk about some of the things that happened in the Pacific. Specifically, the Battle of Leyte Gulf, which was fought from October 23rd to the 26th, 1944. So imagine that. 80 years ago. And we'll talk more about that in just a few moments.